Hi everyone, I hope you are all doing well. So today I want to talk a little bit about the Three of Swords. Recently I had posted a video where I showed the four suits of threes, and in the Swords suit we got to see that some artists showed the Three of Swords as grief, and some as sorrow, some as worry, some as self-doubt. One of the cards showed that idea of death or loss of innocence, betrayal, and one of them even showed the possibility of transformation, which I do want to talk about. And a couple of the cards showed the astrological assignment to the card to be Saturn in Libra. And when we think about Saturn, just thinking about that combination of Saturn and Libra, we get the idea of a restriction in our thought process, or the way we are perceiving something, the way we are thinking about a certain situation. And when that thought process is really restricted and the view is very narrow, that can cause some grief, maybe more than really need be. So now I had said in that video also that threes are very creative. So I feel that when we're really working a lot with that Three of Swords, that card, even though it is very difficult, it does offer the opportunity to create something a little different for yourself, for ourselves. It gives the opportunity to make a change, to shift the energy. And so rather than that Saturn being the oppressor, that Saturn can be a teacher. And you can, by monitoring your thoughts, by paying more attention to the thoughts that are tripping you up, or the thoughts that are casting a shadow for you, you can start to make some changes. It takes a little discipline, and it takes a commitment to yourself to want to move through that energy. Not just get through it, but move through it in a way that you've learned something, in a way that's empowering to you, and in a way that you have more self-understanding, self-knowledge, and the self-care that's needed when that card comes about. So, other than monitoring your thoughts, it's also giving you the opportunity to take a different perspective, just to change your, shift that perspective a little bit. Perhaps to take a perspective that's a little less personal could be very helpful. Because a lot of times when that sort of Three of Swords energy comes in, it's many people will start to blame. Maybe they just blame the situation. Maybe they blame another person for the trouble, or maybe they even blame themselves. And that blame keeps you stuck in that traditional, difficult Three of Swords energy. But when we release some of that blame, start to get a little different perspective, then we can start to change the energy, so that even though we're still working with the Three of Swords, we're getting the opportunity to shift and change it. I'll show you a few cards that I hadn't shown in that last video. So you can see very clearly here in this card, this is from the Morgan Greer, you see all those dark clouds up in the sky there. And, that is the feeling of, those difficult thoughts. And what we're trying to do is to clear the air. And by working with your own thoughts, you absolutely can. Now, most of the cards of the Three of Swords, most of them have a heart in it. Now, of course, it's because it's showing the idea of grief. That mental state is causing grief. But interesting still that whether you realize it or not, often when we're making a choice, we're making it from the heart. And the three here in this case, we are being offered a choice to stay stuck in that energy, that difficult mindset, or to change it. So I like that idea as well as with the choice. Now, there was one card that in the grouping that I had shown previously that offered the idea of transformation. And that is from the Alchemical Tarot. And you can see here that the difficulty, the sadness, the crying, tears there, are actually watering that rose and sustaining it and helping it to grow. So that really clearly shows the transformation that's possible when we put our minds to it. That's the kind of work, that when we commit to our own healing and to ourselves, that is the kind of work that brings in that idea of like I said before, self-awareness, self-empowerment, personal sovereignty. And then you're starting to shift the energy, and then you're starting to work with one of the cards that's much higher in that suit of swords, the Queen of Swords, who embodies self-mastery. That's a card where there is mental clarity. And that is a card that understands to not take things so personally and to pull back a little. So when this card comes in, there is often that need for self-care as well. And that's actually evident because as we go through the deck, the next card is that Four of Swords. So you could see the progression and how these things work. So it's really about claiming our own power, claiming our adulthood, and making the choice to make the change, to work with these energies, even when they're difficult and challenging, and shift the energy, and have it so that what you're going through, it's serving you. You're not, just muttering through it, but you're walking through it with strength, with your feet firmly planted on the ground. In fact, the idea of grounding is very important pretty much when you're working with the sword suit. So you want to be grounded, clarity of mind, and a freshness of the heart so that you can make the choices that, as I said, that serve you better in your life. So those are just a few thoughts on the Three of Swords, and I will see you all soon. Thank you very much. Bye now.